Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Bandits Show. This week I'm joined by guests. Unlike last week, I've got Paul Bennett back and Charlie First is back. Also remember, if you don't want to look at our ugly mugs, you can go and listen to this on Spotify, or if you're listening on Spotify, come and see our beautiful faces on YouTube. So let's get into it. I think one thing I want to start with is the most, is it always say dramatic or traumatic part of the weekend? Dak Prescott lost his foot.
That's one way of saying it.
His foot was facing the wrong way, basically.
He was facing the wrong way, and his foot wasn't, which is really harsh.
What you didn't see...
That was horrible.
They put that boot on him to stretch him off, but what you didn't see was the Tesco bag with his foot in it. It was attached.
You see, when he did it, he grabbed his leg and he tried smacking it back into place. First thing he does, he grabs his leg, he smacks it on ground. Now, obviously, massive loss for the Cowboys, and I've been harsh on Dak this year. So have a lot of people, but I even made a video saying that he shouldn't start the season. But yeah, that's a huge loss for the Cowboys. But they still managed to go out, use all the emotion to get a win. Obviously, the opposite part is...
Who against, Ben?
The Giants.
Who against? Now, who hasn't won against the Giants yet? No, who hasn't won against the Giants yet? Nobody.
The opposite part of that is the Cowboys have possibly one of the worst defenses I've seen in the league.
Yes.
They're making quarterbacks such as Daniel Jones look like Patrick Mahomes. You can actually compare stats. It's not good for them. They gave up 34 points against a team who'd only scored, I think it was... they were averaging, I think they scored 9 points 2 weeks in a row. And then they go and score 34 against Dallas. Is there any way you can see them fixing this? Because
the players, the Dallas defense wasn't great, was it? But is it the fact that Mike Nolan's system doesn't suit what they've got? And he's running a system that his linebackers just aren't capable, really, of doing, and they would be better playing a different scheme. It's difficult, isn't it? If Nolan's there for the long term and they're going to give him the players that he wants, then they've just got to take the hit. But one of the problems that Dallas have got is their offense is just paid so much money. They've invested that much into what is a really decent attack. It really is. They've got some great players there. But if you can't stop the other team, can you imagine them playing Kansas City?
Expect another
it'd be scary.
Kansas and LA Rams Monday Night Football.
It'd just be crazy, wouldn't they? And they hadn't done particularly great. They've been competitive in most games because the offense was so good. But, if your quarterback's out and somebody who's probably taken very few snaps throughout the off-season and the early season, who's come from a different team, they are going to take a step back a little bit offensively for a couple of weeks, you would think, if not the entire season, because Dalton's okay. He's okay. He's very experienced, and with everything around him, then he's likely to still put up some great numbers.
Yeah, he seems...
But it helps.
Seems like Dalton's actually being gifted an opportunity here, because he's finally being given a team with... Obviously, their O-line's declining, but it's a team that still has a strong, like an average to above average O-line. Yeah, Zeke out to the backfield. That wide receiver core's insanely good. This could be a blessing in disguise. They could go and get a contract somewhere else, because I have no doubt if he plays really well, someone will pick him up. Well,
your thing is will he not stay in Dallas, and could Dak be allowed to go?
Could be. They'd only have to pay Dalton, a lot less than they'll end up paying Dak.
That's right. And they've got that much money involved in their offence. If they end up picking in the really high up, there's a fair chance they could get one of the really good rookie QBs.
Yeah.
That are coming out of fields. because there's that much money in that position and there's that much money in their offense. If they didn't pay Dak, they'd be able to buy a defense that could support, a competent quarterback.
Yeah.
An average quarterback, they could grow it, who had some upside. They could do some decent, probably more good. If you look at the sum of all parts, they'd probably go a little bit better.
I think one thing that sort of baffles me about Dallas is, and I understand the money that they put into wide receivers, but they have this game plan to go out there and they're always going for quick strike touchdowns, big plays. They always want the huge chunk. If you had that O-line, that running back, but complemented by that defense, why would you not do what plenty of other teams have done for years and just keep churning out yards and keep winding the clock down and give them less time to exploit the defense?
I think if you can score in this league, you score. And if you can score, it's all very well ball control. And I think there should be more of a running team because Elliott's very, very good. But if you can score and score quickly, just do it. Just get the points on the board.
Yeah, but there's only so many points you can put on the board if your team isn't stopping the other team putting points on the board. It doesn't matter how many you can put up if they can just match it.
Yeah. No, it's like a game of basketball, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just basketball with them. And if they run into a decent defence, then they've had it. I mean, let's look at the record. And where they're at, they beat the Falcons and they beat the Giants.
I think with Dak, they were probably an 8-8 team. With Andy Dalton, they're probably still an 8-8, 7-9 team, which is, I suppose, the upside for Cowboys fans. It's not going to be a downgrade.
It might be enough for them, mightn't it?
Yeah. Well, with that division, yeah.
The Giants are already out. Football team's done, isn't it? I mean, what did they get? -6 yards offense in the second half. And I think it was 106 yards offense in the entire game against the Rams. I mean, that's welcome to 1927, that. It really is. It really is. And that's not going to get better in a rush, is it?
I mean, good way to split it, but going from injury to recovery, Alex Smith, welcome back to the NFL.
What a great story.
Yeah.
Outstanding story. Outstanding story.
Because his life was in a right mess.
I mean, Aaron Donald instantly tried murdering him again.
Yeah.
But why he decided that Alex Smith was the guy to give him a piggyback ride, we'll never know. But,
he's on a bad Washington team. And I think you could even say that if he wins 5 games with that team, he's a good candidate for comeback player of the year, with the story in itself.
Yeah. I think the story at the moment is Kyle Allen is going to get another shot.
Yeah.
And I think he probably will get the next 3 games, so he gets 4 starts. And I think then they'll go back to Alex Smith properly if Kyle Allen just isn't showing any flashes. There's more to Dwayne Haskins for me. There's more to the coaching staff are seeing more than we're seeing on the Sunday because against the Ravens he was an awful lot better than against the Browns. So there's got to be something else. Whether they have to keep simplifying it week on week, whether they're telling him what his reads are and he's just doing different things and he's just taking checkdowns when his first read is actually on. And that's what was happening in the Ravens game. Because we don't know that if they call a play and they record that play, and then when they review the film, they'll check whether his read was on. So they know where he's going with his progressions. And if he was missing easy stuff, and then when they talk to him about it, he's denying it or arguing with them, then they may decide that the time's changed for a changes now. Because everyone who follows them was expecting him to get an entire season out of it. So for it to be pulled after only 4 games indicates to me that there's more to that story than just poor play.
I think the overall harsh reality about the QB situation for the football team is if they get a shot at Trevor Lawrence, they're taking it. I mean, there's not many teams that wouldn't, but if they get the shot to take Trevor Lawrence, they're going to take him.
Yeah, well, the first round of the sweepstakes starts this week, isn't it, when they play the Giants?
Yeah.
So you got the Giants, I think it's Giants, Cowboys, Giants. And, if they lose to the Giants both those times, they're in with a shout. It's them against the Jets then, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not without talent.
Houston is still technically in that mix.
They're not, though. They're better. They are better. You can see that they've got some cohesion about them. And once they get a win, they'll get 2. They'll get 3.
I think Deshaun Watson's better. I think that roster overall, I don't see it.
I don't know
it's
if you watch on Sunday, you'd be saying a different story.
Yeah, we'll see. They've got, like I say, every time we do this thing, we've got to always say, there's still weeks upon weeks left of this season.
Yeah.
We're only just through pre-season, really.
This is where real teams are going to start showing themselves in these next few weeks.
This is where your Kansas Cities and your Baltimores are really going to start separating.
Yeah.
They really are. The top tier will have a very, very definite top tier quite quickly this year. And the bottom tier will be very apparent. And then there'll be a big scrap for 1 playoff space either side, maybe 2 playoff spaces in both conferences. But you'll know this year.
Exactly. Can see me again. One thing I talked about last week was I talked about the coaches that were probably on the hot seat. Because as we know, with Houston firing their coach, it was open season. No coach is safe again. This week we got the word Dan Quinn from the Atlanta Falcons. He's lost his job. I think I put him at quite near the top of my list as he had to go. But what baffles me is that Atlanta are willing to get rid of a head coach who's he's not doing well, but he's made a Super Bowl, coached an MVP quarterback, and yet the Jets are still holding on to this fantasy that Adam Gase is going to actually do something. When he's got a quarterback who shows flashes of brilliance, but is regressing in his 3rd year because of Adam Gase.
You can't really argue with that, can you?
No.
They are very poor. It's not entirely his fault. But if he'd have done very well at previous clubs, then you kind of get it. I don't know. Is he like the new Mangini, who was this genius who suddenly became a head coach and it just didn't work for them?
Well, so obviously the big thing about him was he was this QB whisperer. He was the quarterback guru. But all of that came. You've got to think the offense that he was part of was the 2013 Broncos. So how much of it was Adam Gase and how much of it was one of the best passing attacks that's ever stepped onto a field?
Well, if you take a passing guru and you make them a head coach of the team, that's a significant difference. Yeah. Head coach, they're managers, aren't they? Head coaches. They might dip into a certain thing here and there. They might set the tone of thinking of it. But the other coaches are the ones who drive it, aren't they?
Yeah.
So maybe he is a very good quarterback coach, and that's where he should be, or even an offensive coordinator. He might do really, really well at that. Not everybody can be a great head coach.
Me and Luke said not long ago it might be better for him to actually go and try and get a quarterback job working within an organisation that does win, and he can take tips and learn traits from head coaches who know how to succeed, and maybe he'll get his shot again at another club down the road.
he just might not be a head coach.
That's always a possibility as well, you know.
There are 32 of them at any one time, isn't there? And of them, there's only one a year who wins it. There's 8 that are reasonably successful. You know, it's just sacked coaches everywhere.
Also, when you think about it, Nick Saban, Alabama's head coach, never cut it in the NFL. So, you know,
I think he bailed a little bit soon, but you are right.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got another person that I'm adding to this list. I put him in the middle ground last week, as in I don't know what's going to happen with him. But Doug Marrone.
Burning.
I think so. Last week I was using a rating system, obviously with 1 to 10, 10 being he's got to go. No, I put him at a 5 because you'd had the good first 2 weeks.
Doug Marrone on that scale is at a fucking 15. They need to get him out of Jacksonville before the people of Jacksonville organise a revolution and assassinate him publicly.
Say what you think, Charlie. Don't hold back, lad.
Honestly, if you look on any Facebook post, Instagram post that the Jaguars make after every game, because every game's the same, it looks like we're going to be okay, looks like we might do something, and everything goes balls up. Every comment is fire Doug Marrone. Nobody wants him.
He was at Buffalo, wasn't he?
Being stuck in that state of sort of mediocrity and right in the middle is sort of a thing that some teams have had to deal with for a while. I know as a Dolphins fan, we've dealt with that sort of middle ground. You know, we finished 8-8 a lot of the seasons. And then we'd have a 10-6, and then we'd follow it with a 6-10, and so something's got to change from the top down. I think I'll bump Doug Marrone's number. I'll bump him up to an 8. I still don't think you're going to do it until the end of the season. But I think I've got him.
Oh, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it because that front office doesn't care enough to do anything. So we're not going to do it until at least, like you say, end of season. But it needs doing, and it needs doing now, really.
I'm chucking it in the middle this time. I've got my offensive player of the week. I've got Chase Claypool. I don't think anyone could argue.
No.
100 total yards, 4 touchdown passes. It seems like Big Ben's got a brand new target to fire to.
He was a scary individual, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He is a scary individual. They use him right and bring him on right. He's going to be good in this league for a while.
Yeah. Might be a steal of the draft, to be honest.
But one game doesn't make a career.
I understand that. It's an offensive player of the week, Paul.
Yeah, he is. And well deserved. And if he maintains that throughout the season, he's going the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. On the other side, I've got defensive player of the week, and I thought, let's go all rookie. You've got Patrick Queen for the Baltimore Ravens. 6 tackles, sack, 2 forced fumbles, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. Absolutely balling on the other side. And then obviously it's the award that. Oh, go on, Paul. You look like you wanted to jump in on Patrick Queen.
No, I'm not going to say. I just thought shout the 2 interior linemen for the Rams, Donald and was it Reader? I thought they were outstanding.
Donald got 4 sacks. I thought I'll go double rookie. Well, it's probably not going to get that.
No,
to go.
I've no issues with McQueen getting it, and it was the fella next to Donald. I think had no career sacks coming into the game and got 3.
Good way to start then.
Well, I think everybody was trying to stop Donald, so he was just running through.
And then obviously the big award of the week is always the fantasy award for the Bandits Fantasy. Lucky Bastard of the Week. Always based on the concept that someone gets lucky each week. And this week, I've given it to Luke. Now, Luke has a couple of players on his team who got 0 points. Right? but I'm giving it to Luke based on the fact that he played Jake, and Jake has destroyed his team through persistent meddling.
I've seen 3 notifications on my phone why we've been doing this.
He's already made.
Oh, they are. I can see. 2 of them are in.
I tell you what, there's no patience, that lad.
But if anyone wants to keep up to date with the Bandits Fantasy League, results are on the Bandits page, but the link's in the description.
Hey, I'm second now.
Second, yeah, but I've still got that 2-game lead, haven't I?
Not after this week, you're not bad. You're going to get cooked.
Do him, Charlie.
He's going to get cooked, lad. It's done.
No.
It's done. I'm on a 48% chance to win. Take a player out and wait till my waiver goes through. New player, big dubs. Ben's cooked, lad. His looks ran out. 5-1.
It's called having a good team.
I've just signed Dalton, haven't I?
I
signed Dalton because Prescott. I'm gutted.
So you picked up the Dolphins defense for the Jets, or is that just a backup defense?
No, I always just cycle defenses. I look who's playing really rubbish. Did I pick the Giants up? They can pick the Giants up.
I don't.
Yeah, it was whoever's playing the Jets to try and get. And if I can't get them, then I go for whoever's playing football team, because they're just not going to put numbers up at all, are they? And that's how you pick defenses, because you might get 7 points instead of 6.
I just have Ravens defense on every week. Not gone wrong.
I've got something. No, that's further down in my notes than I thought it was. Obviously, a lot's changed since people just can't stop getting enough of that COVID. We've had a lot of games rearranged. Dolphins bye week's been rearranged. The Patriots are now playing the Broncos this weekend. Should have been last weekend, but that's had massive implications on a lot of people's schedules. I think it's given a lot of teams a good break as well. But now, moving on to my first personal topic. I'll pose just the question on its own at first. Are the Browns a real playoff contender?
Yeah. There's an extra team in the playoffs this year, and they're already doing really well. So why not? They only need 6 more wins.
Charlie looks like he wants to say no, and just because it's the Browns.
No, it's not that. I'm genuinely 50-50. My name is Samantha. I will be directing your call.
That's now in the recording. Just leave it in, no context. Right, so I know for a fact I've got Paul's response saying yeah that they're in. So so it's now back to whatever you said about the Browns being in the playoffs, Charlie.
I said I'm genuinely 50-50 because they're doing bits. 4-1, got the players who are doing the jobs, but it's the Browns.
Did you get my little view on that as well afterwards?
I didn't get if it was after what Charlie said, then no.
Oh no, it's a great plan. I genuinely hope what Paul's about to say happens because it's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Cleveland, you've got to give them 10 out of 10. They're fans. They rock up in all kinds of weather. It's horrible there at the best of times. They turn up thin and thinner. Peak Browns would be for them to go 15-1 and host the AFC Championship game, wouldn't it? With nobody able to watch it live. That would be peak Browns. You've got to feel for them. I feel that they're going to be all right this year. And you just know that if they do really well, they'll not allow fans in properly and no one will see it.
If they host the AFC Championship game, you know that they're just breaking all the laws in the world and filling that stadium.
It's 2020. It's 2020. To prove the world is upside down, the Browns would win the Super Bowl in 2020.
I mean, to be fair, from what I've seen of Cleveland Browns fans in the past, if you said to them, "Oh, come to this game," and you get coronavirus, they'll probably think it's some new type of spice to put on nachos or something.
Yeah, they just go. They won't care.
So this season got a new coach, got Kevin Stefanski. Baker Mayfield seems to finally have a sensible head coach, someone who knows where to make him look good and avoid his bad places. Although I think it was Paul on Sunday compared him to a tiny version of Philip Rivers.
Yeah, he's Philip Rivers light, isn't he? He is. He's everything that Philip Rivers does, he does. And, you know, in another 15 years, you've got to say he's had a great career, loads of statistical things, but will he win anything? Because he is someone who just thinks, screw it, and throws it.
Throw it.
Yeah. Brett Favre used to do that, but he won a couple of Super Bowls.
Brett Favre did have most touchdowns, but he also has most interceptions. But
yeah, he just used to throw it.
It's all about balance. It's all about balance, Ben.
He was so good to watch. He really was. He didn't mind it. If he was falling over face first, he'd throw it behind his back. He'd do whatever. I mean, just to prove it, the first pass he ever threw, his first completion was to himself.
Yeah.
See, them two stats.
Stats that.
I think he got them two stats on purpose, the touchdowns and the interceptions, because it keeps him humble.
Yeah.
I don't
know if you've ever seen an interview with Brett Favre. I don't know if you've ever seen an interview with Brett Favre, but he's not humble.
No, he was a good one.
The Browns have quite possibly the best running attack in the NFL. Best 1-2 combo in Kareem.
It's back to the old days, isn't it? Biner and Mack, when they had two running backs, both go for 1,000 yards in one season. That was an impressive side, and they did really well. And it's only down to John Elway, really, that they probably didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because Biner and Mack, so good.
I mean, this is obviously what we were supposed to see last season. This is the team that we were supposed to see last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone knows how good Nick Chubb was. A bit of a question on whether Kareem Hunt had returned to old form when he was with Kansas. And then on the other side of the ball, they've got Myles Garrett, who's, still taking names. But not taking helmets anymore. That's a good part.
We're only on week 5.
Yeah, he could go downhill.
Yeah. To be fair, it's reaching up to hit Ben Roethlisberger on the head might be more of an issue. He's a bit taller, isn't he?
No, if I was him, I'd wait till the last game of the season and then just do it.
When you're losing, just
bang. When you're losing by you're down by 2 scores and you think, can I flip this? I've got it. Bang, quick one.
He'll do it to Lamar just for get him out.
Yeah. He'll do it to Lamar just for do me over on fantasy.
I think this is the first time in over 10 years they've been positive on record. It's the first time in 50 years that they've scored over 30 points in 4 back-to-back games. Everything's finally trending up for Cleveland.
Yeah.
I said to Paul earlier, I said, I think it was 2 weeks ago when Odell just decided, my football game this.
Yeah.
And just completely took over.
And that's what they need. They need, Jarvis Landry and Odell they needed them to step up. They've not really looked at peak form until this year. Yeah.
Well, that's part of the reason I'm a bit doubtful of the playoffs, because it was still that last year and they just didn't do anything. But from what we've seen so far, it is looking very, very good.
Yeah, the last 4 games, they started off poorly, but that was pre-season game, wasn't it? And they built into the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've
still early.
Like I always say, we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I think they need to start moving once again more into the fact that Baker should be handing it off more like Ryan Tannehill hands it off than he should be passing it. And I think as soon as they lean into that, I think Baker's interceptions go down and he looks phenomenal. Yeah. And who knows, he might win that MVP that you talked about, Paul.
It's looking more likely than it did after week 1.
It's looking more likely than it did after you made that prediction is the only way. Paul's going to will something into existence.
That was me. If you've got a spare tenner, you don't mind losing bet. It was like a good outside. It was an outside bet that possibly could happen if you wanted big odds.
What Paul's not telling you is his new ritual is Saturday nights, he kneels down in front of his bed and he says, "Dear Lord, that Baker Mayfield chap, make him good this week, every week." Paul's doing that.
Keeps a picture in his wallet and every time he opens it.
Yeah, he's got offerings out and everything.
One of them preachers on the street, but with signs of Baker Mayfield.
He's just got a sandwich board and it's just got Baker's face on it.
If you've got a sandwich board, you've got to put a Baker's face on it, haven't you?
Oh,
the dad of the Bandits with a dad joke.
Can't beat him.
So I was watching some stuff, catching up on all the interviews and the talk shows last night. And something hit me. So last year the Packers. What was the big knock on the Packers last year?
They won 8-1. They were 8-1 in games decided by one score.
Bingo. We're all now. I've been part of this for a few weeks. That I think Russell Wilson's brilliant, and he still is. But we're buying in so hard to these Seahawks being a top team. They're doing the exact same that the Packers did last year, and we should probably look a bit more into it. I think the comparison is shocking when you think about it. You know, they've got who's the big players for Seahawks. You know, you've got DK Metcalf, Chris Carson, Bobby Wagner, and then you've got obviously your star quarterback, and then flip it over to the other side, Green Bay, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Zadarius Smith last year on the defense, and Aaron Rodgers. When you think about it, because I looked through all the games, and they've only won one game that wasn't a one-possession game. And it was against Atlanta in week 1, where they won by 13 points. Everything else has been 5 points, 7 points, 8 point, 1 point. And the big problem is that this comes in. I've only started thinking about this, and then I thought, I wonder what they've got next few parts of the season. Got Arizona, got San Francisco. In week 9, they've got the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if you remember mid-season last year, when the Packers played the 49ers, and it was a complete whitewash. And that was when people started to struggle to buy into the Packers at that point. You know, because that's the team that you've got to beat. Obviously, they're not in the same conference. They wouldn't have to meet them in a playoff game, but I think that could be the game that says, oh, maybe the Seahawks aren't that Super Bowl team that we're all thinking of.
I actually have a theory about the Seahawks at the minute. Right. So we all know how good Russell Wilson is, obviously. I think Russell Wilson, during the whole COVID thing, has watched a lot of horror movies and found out he's a big fan of tension in stuff. So he goes out into the games knowing he can win already and goes, watch this, I bet I can make them all nervous. It's all a mind game. It's all a mind game.
I mean, they got completely outplayed by Vikings. And then, obviously, Russell Wilson there was a minute 20 and all of a sudden he just flipped a switch.
Mind games, like.
That's what it is.
Telling you mind games.
You'll have to tweet Russell Wilson and ask him, does he like horror films? And if he says yeah, then we've got to have it here. That's it.
I'll do it right now.
This is sort of a warning. You know, don't ignore the signs that we all bailed on the Packers last year for the same reasons that we're now buying into the Seahawks.
I didn't think the Packers would do that well this year. I thought they'd have a readjustment because that's what tends to happen.
Yeah.
If you win a load one year, it tends to go against you the next year. And also, a champion team, one of them tends to fall in a hole. And I thought it would come from the NFC. And I thought it'd be the Packers, but it looks like it's the 49ers.
The thing is, mate, the Packers, though, Aaron Rodgers is still very confident and cocky.
I think that's the big thing.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a clip. Pat McAfee was on. Aaron Rodgers was on the Pat McAfee show on his podcast, and Aaron Rodgers said, "A down year for me is a career year for other quarterbacks." So he's still got that. Like, yeah, I'm not saying he's wrong, but he's still got that confidence and that
mentality.
Yeah. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, that's one of the things, and I know we discussed it on the show that maybe the Jordan Love trade is going to be this kick up the arse, and it gets that chip back on his shoulder that we know when Aaron Rodgers plays with a chip on his shoulder, he's stupidly dangerous to play against.
Well, the Patriots used to draft a quarterback every other year, didn't they? They trade him 2 years later for a second-round pick. But they were constantly lighting a fire under Brady.
Yeah.
The Packers doing that, though, at the time, it did seem like a genuine, if you don't get it together, we will replace you.
Your future.
Yeah.
Plus what you also look at is that Rodgers is still getting on. He may decide to retire at any point. Is he 38 now?
He's only 36, 35.
35. Okay, yeah, I've added the 3 years on beforehand. But if you think that somebody was 38, and then they're almost succession planning like they did with Favre, where they put somebody and just bang them on the bench and just develop them. And at one point you just go, okay, Aaron, now's your time, off you go, Carl.
I think you can make the argument that obviously they were the same age when the Packers drafted Rodgers for Favre and sat him under Favre. But Aaron Rodgers sort of was obviously supposed to go first overall in that draft. He fell to the Packers. He didn't. It's not that the Packers didn't reach for him, whereas the draft just gone. The Packers traded up picks to go and get Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Clearly they'd seen something that they'd want to work on in the next few years.
Yeah, like he could very well be for that time. Rodgers goes, that's me done. But at the time, it did seem like they were going, Rodgers, if you don't get it together, he's playing, not you.
But there's another consideration as well. If you've got a team that's in the window, and the Packers has been in the championship game, we're in that window. If you still think you're there and you've got a couple of years there, why wouldn't you have somebody who's excellent on very little money in real terms to back him up? Because what you don't want is a Colt McCoy backing him up. And there you are, 15-1, and you're in the first round of the playoffs and you get dumped out. If they've got Love there and he's been learning behind him and they've got confidence in him because he's going to be a good player, then you're still in with a chance.
Yeah. I do agree with that, but there's always the adage of being excellent in college doesn't equal being excellent in the NFL.
No, I get that. I get that 100%.
There's also I think Jordan Love was known as the biggest sort of the biggest project coming out of the draft.
So give him 2 years sat behind him. Yeah, 2 years sat behind him.
He's going to need 3, 4.
Yeah.
Because he came out of college early, which I think might have been a mistake.
Yeah,
he still went nice and high though, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's not that much of a project to go in the first round.
Well, I mean, Lamar went early second.
He did. And Lamar probably, if he hadn't been the injury, didn't want to got the exposure where they were forced to play him early. Because look at Herbert, the Chargers. There's no way he was playing. The way he was playing, he comes in with 15 minutes notice, and the guy's really exciting to watch. He looks like a competent NFL quarterback who, although they're not winning games, It's not really because of him, is it?
No, they've got injuries on the defense, and I think
Terrible injuries. And the Chargers, if you watch, only tend to start playing in mid-October anyway. They have like a pre-season normally, and then 6 weeks of the regular season where they mess about and win 1 or 2 games normally, and then have a decent run before falling at the last minute.
I mean, the Justin Herbert, the story that's developing for Justin Herbert is actually like really good. So, like you said, 15 minutes, you're going to go and play the Super Bowl champion. Go on. And he goes out there and he almost gets the win.
He does really well.
He goes and plays Brady, and he outplayed Brady for a half.
Yeah. He's got something about him that says he'll be all right, that lad.
Yeah.
Because he looks in place. He looks more in place than Joey Burrow.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow's running for his life.
He is, and that's the difference. Because he's still going to go okay, isn't he, once they put some more talent around him.
Well, that's it. I mean, out of the big 3, there's only 1 left to play.
Yeah. Washington.
That's my thing with Joe Burrow, though. Like, yeah, there was all these expectations and everyone knew how good he was coming out of college. At the end of the day, he still went to the Bengals.
Yeah, and where you get drafted really does matter for your career.
Yeah.
Ruins careers of young quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Ruins them.
I would say Johnny Manziel, but he ruined his own.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe for more content from us.
That is a perfect way
check
to
out all of our social media links
on the screen. Johnny Manziel's
Spotify, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember to watch all the other content.
Thanks for watching.
On the Bandits Show.
Thanks for joining me.
And
see you all later.
see
Bye,
you next
guys.
time.